Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Courage in the Crisis. This is a program, a conversation on mental health brought to you by the Moravian Church, Eastern West Indies Province. My name is Janita Waith. I'm speaking to you from Barbados, and joining me this afternoon is Devonte Carter, Alyssa Ross, and Andrea Errol. I'm going to get them to just introduce themselves. I'm going to just ask Devonte and Alyssa to just give us their age, where they're from, and one thing that they really like to do to get us started. Let's start with Devonte. You can go ahead. Devonte, you can go ahead. You can hear me?
Hi.
Right.
Yes. I'm Devonte. I'm 14 years. I live in Antigua and I love to play basketball.
Awesome. And we were saying when we spoke before that right now, unfortunately, there's no basketball to watch. I guess the finals would probably have been soon or just around, if not gone. When is it? I'm not even sure, but we would have been going into the finals by now, going into playoffs, right? Devonte? So that would have been good. Alyssa, just give us your age as well, where you're from, and one thing that you really like to do.
Okay, so I'm Alyssa Ross. I'm 18 years of age and I live in Trinidad and Tobago. And one of my favorite things to do is dance.
All right. And I guess, have you been doing any dancing at home over the last few weeks?
If making TikToks count, then yes.
Yes, definitely making TikToks count. And for those of our older generation that don't know what TikToks is, Google it. All right, so we're gonna check in with everyone. Let's go to Andrea now. Andrea, how have you been doing over the past week? How has the past week been for you?
It has been generally good. I have been staying home for the most part, as I should. Just going with the flow. I think there's some level of boredom that is kicking in, and with that is coming the cravings for things that I shouldn't be having, but good otherwise.
Yeah, I can identify with that. I'll give the story. Yesterday, we have these ice cream trucks. I didn't know they were still running, but one came through my neighborhood, and I basically stood outside for about 10 minutes waiting on him to get to my house. So, and he didn't even have anything that I really wanted, but I still bought ice cream. After eating it, I didn't feel any better, but whatever. The thought that counts. But yeah, definitely you're starting to crave things to distract us and so on. And that's why we're here. We're here to kind of discuss kind of what has been the challenges so far, especially from a young person's perspective about dealing with everything that's going on. So, Devonte, could you tell our viewing audience, for you, what has been the hardest part of this whole thing? What's been the most difficult thing for you to deal with?
Well, for me, the hardest part has been adapting to online school in terms of not getting as much help as I usually would, especially when it comes to learning new things.
Yeah, and we're going to come back to that shortly. Most children have had to kind of start to transition to home schooling, whatever that looks like in your territory. And that's kind of difficult, isn't it, Devontae, to try to figure out how to deal with just getting things done at home when you're used to doing it in the classroom.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tell me, what's your favorite subject and what's your least favorite subject?
My Sorry, I didn't get that.
Yeah, your favorite subject and your least favorite subject.
My favorite subject is PE, physical education, and my least favorite subject is science.
Right. So if you're like Devonte, you have anything that you can do at home in PE or not really?
Yes, I do, because my PE teacher sends us like little videos to keep us active and
Excellent.
to help us exercise.
Excellent. Yeah. I find a lot of coaches doing that, sending information, sending exercises and so on. But I'm sure it's not the same as being outside, is it?
No, not at all.
Not at all. Alyssa, tell me, what has been the most difficult part of this whole thing for you?
Well, besides not being able to leave home, the hardest thing is accepting the fact that I won't be leaving school when I should have been leaving school, because this whole period just kind of prolonging the whole exams, and it's kind of stressful because I mean, I was looking forward to moving on to the next part of my life, which is university, and now I really can't, and that's kind of difficult to deal with.
Yeah, and you're bringing up some interesting themes there. Really, that idea of loss, because what this predominantly kind of lends itself to is the fact that we are losing so much. And for you, as you said, you've kind of lost that opportunity to stick to your timetable of graduating when you wanted to. You're not even sure how it's going to work out now in terms of going into university. Everything's kind of up in the air, and that's a loss that you kind of have to grieve. Like you grieve
Yep.
the loss of anything else. Yeah, yeah. Any tips, Andrea, for these things in terms of transitioning in school and dealing with that sense of loss, that both of them kind of identify, that loss of routine and that loss of those things to look forward to. Any tips?
It's very difficult for the students now, and for young people now, because you're accustomed to that socializing, being a part of being with your friends. But at this moment, you know, they can't control what is happening. So we have to kind of focus in on the things that we can control. So as Devonte said, he was doing the exercises that his coach sent. Maybe he can develop his own video via TikTok also. Alyssa can do her own little dance video and share it with others. So recognizing that yes, it's okay. It's okay to be disappointed. It's okay to be frustrated. But then the next step is now to do things that are within your control. And so you can do those little activities to help you to get over that hump.
Yeah. I guess what this whole pandemic has brought to the fore is that we kind of need to get really creative, get really innovative, come up with cool ideas of things to do, fun ideas of things to do, and different ideas of how we could still do some of the things that we like. That's really, really important to making us feel like things are a bit normal. Because when things feel absolutely, absolutely different, it's really tough. You kind of feel like you're not yourself. So you really want to feel a little normal, and anything that you could do to remind you of how it was just ago, we can try to do that as much as possible. So tell us a little bit of kind of how you've been feeling in the last few weeks. I guess feelings aren't something that we always talk about, but that doesn't mean we don't have them. How have you been feeling? Let's start with Alyssa. What's something that you've been really feeling in the last few weeks?
Initially, I was feeling really angry and frustrated because, as I said, I planned out, okay, I'm going to finish school at this time and I'll be going to university in September, and now that can't happen. So I was a bit angry and kind of frustrated about the whole thing. But of recent, I've come to terms that, okay, everything happens for a reason, and maybe this is working out for the best. So I'm not really stressing as much, just trying to refocus everything and kind of compartmentalize the fact that, you know, this isn't going to happen exactly how I wanted it to.
All right. Devonte, how have you been feeling?
Like mainly, I've been just kind of worried because
I think we just cut out a little bit, Devonte. Say that again. You said you've been feeling kind of worried because
of what's going on and what I've been here, just trying to distract myself and have a little fun.
yeah. And the reality is, um, this is a situation that doesn't escape any of us, you know. All of us kind of have that similar anxiety, that similar worry. Our parents are worried, the adults in our lives are worried. And that doesn't really help us feel any better. Normally, when we are worried about something, there's someone saying, it's going to be okay, everything's going to work out. But it's kind of hard to say something like that now because we really don't know. We try to be optimistic, but worry is a big part of what we're going through. Any tips, Andrea, based on what they would have said just now? Anything to suggest?
What I want people to recognize, and Alison, Devante, and all the other young persons, that we cycle through a range of emotions. Devante said he was worried. Alyssa said she went from anger to frustration, and we cycle through several different levels of emotion. There's no right way, there's no wrong way to feel. Persons feel differently, and it's quite fine. And you go from one to the other, that's quite fine too. What I would want you to do, though, is when you're getting to that point that you find someone, you express those emotions to someone. So whether it's your parents or there are other adults in your life, or if it is that within Antigua and Barbuda and Trinidad and Tobago, or anybody else that is listening, you go to whatever helpline is available to you, or even through your school counselors and so on. So you find that person to talk about those emotions, especially when you find that they're really impacting your ability to function.
Excellent. Even today, I will tell you, I'm not going to obviously tell you the name of the persons, but I did a session with a child today, and you know, I don't know, child was dealing with some other stuff, but I got him to draw an anger monster. So I told him if he could draw a monster that represents what his anger looks like, draw it. And his drawing was very intense. It was a large monster, kind of Godzilla type thing, kind of stomping on buildings and whatever. It doesn't matter. But what we did, we looked at that and tried to recognize, you know, it's okay to have an anger monster, but it's also important to know what your anger monster's weakness is. Like, what's the thing that your anger monster really loves, that if you give your anger monster it will calm down and relax. And his was that his anger monster liked to eat ice. So sure, whatever works. So everybody has these, you know, sometimes unpleasant emotions. That don't mean they're bad emotions, but sometimes we have unpleasant emotions, and it's good to not only just try to distract, as Devonte suggests, you know, we try to look for other things to do to take our minds off of them, but also sometimes it's good to just get them off our chest, as Andrea has said. Great. We talked a lot about things that we can do by ourselves. What about your friends? Have you been connecting with your friends? Tell me a little bit about that. Devonte, let's start with you.
Yes, I have. Like sometimes I would call my friends or just message them, maybe send them a picture or video just for the fun of it, and then play different online games with them and stuff like that.
Awesome. Definitely really important to connect. What about you, Alyssa?
Same here. I've been really connecting with my friends a lot more. Sometimes I find myself kind of not wanting to be on the phone as much because, like, it's kind of making me socially handicapped, you know, because I'm accustomed to always, you know, being able to physically interact with them. And that's kind of difficult, but because of technology, we're able to really connect still amidst all that going on right now.
Yeah, and you brought up something really interesting in our reading, in understanding, connecting with others. You know, a lot of our tips and will continue to be connect, connect, connect. But sometimes you kind of have to put some boundaries in place in terms of how you connect, because sometimes you're not feeling to talk to anybody, or persons are talking about things that you really don't want to talk about. You don't feel to talk about them things right now. Like sometimes people go on and on and on about things, and you're just like, okay, this is too much. And it's good to develop ways and methods to say to people, look, let me check you later, kind of thing, instead of please don't talk to me, you know. Let me call you back, or let me message you back, you know, that sort of thing. It's good to have that type of honest conversation with people. Andrea, any tips on connecting? Because we talk about friends. Any other tips about connecting?
I think too, you can also do some of that connection with just right within your household. You have your parents, your siblings, you know, activities together. So you can teach your parents a new dance. You can show them how to make a TikTok video, make the video with them. They may not want you to publish it, but you can at least make the video, and you know, you have fun times together with your parents. I think it's also important that even when you're connecting with your friends, that, as you said, you don't want to do it all the time, but you can even you can even schedule when you're going to connect, so that you know, okay, I'll do it this time, because we also don't want to get into a situation where we get into a funk and we withdraw from persons. So it's also important that you find that time, activities in the house, cooking, photography. You can probably even go online. Yes, I know it's a lot of online schooling, but you can go and do other activities, learn something like photography, animation, coding, something that would be of interest to you. So that would also help with that boredom, and you can do it with other family members. So you take that opportunity to connect.
Yeah, and as you were speaking, the interesting thing is, I was thinking about the fact that having a schedule, and it doesn't have to be a rigid schedule, but having a schedule can be helpful in terms of, especially when as school picks back up, getting your stuff done, but also to maintain a more holistic viewpoint. You just don't want to be just doing schoolwork all the time. Neither do you just want to be playing PS4, or you know, you just don't want to be doing the same thing all the time. It will get bored one way or the other. So you want to just, you know, vary your activities, as was said. You know, sometimes you talk to people, sometimes you do things on your own. Try to get some physical activity in, probably do a challenge. There are a lot of little random challenges online. Try to, you know, do as varied things as possible, involve your family, your friends. And if at the beginning of every week, or you know, you set aside time to kind of plan, you know, this week I want to do, you know, 10 push-ups, if that's what you're into. 10 push-ups might not be that enough for Devontae, but whatever. If you want to do 10 push-ups, or you want to like create a new dance, or you want, you know, whatever you want to do, you just decide at the beginning of the week, all right, this week I'm going to do a challenge. I'm going to flip this bottle under this chair, get permission from your parents, of course. And I'm going to do something fun and interesting. That's really, really important. Awesome. So we've been talking about how this has been affecting us. We've been talking about things that we can do. We really want to also assist persons who are at home, who might be having a particularly difficult time. Not only might they be dealing with boredom or worry or anger, but like some of us, unfortunately, our homes are a little fuller than others. You know, there may be some conflicts with siblings or parents. Any tips you would give, Alyssa, to persons dealing with stuff like that?
Okay, so for me, what I've been really trying to do is doing stuff that I don't really get the time to do because of school and the co-curricular activities and all that. So for instance, I've been baking, learning to bake, I've been learning to cook, I've been doing art, which is something that I really enjoy doing. I've also been trying to, get a little bit more fit. So I've been doing challenges with my friends. Obviously making TikToks, which is actually really fun. And the usual studying, and I try to plan my week or a day so I could know. And at the end of the week, when I accomplish the thing that I set out to do, you feel more, accomplished and motivated to actually do stuff. So I would advise that people try to plan. It doesn't have to be extremely like a timetable and too strict, but something that you write down exactly, okay, I want to do this. It could be schoolwork, it could be a TikTok video, it could be talking to your friend, but just try to plan out exactly what you would want to accomplish so you'll feel motivated to do more.
Devontae, what about you? Any tips for persons at home? Okay, we kind of probably have a little issue with Devontae. I think his video is a little frozen. Andrea, what tips would you give for those persons at home? We've given several of them, but what about in terms of dealing with conflict in the home or dealing with any challenges in the home?
I think communication within the home would be very important. One person suggested the other day that, maybe we need to make contracts. At home, I'm going to be kind to this person. We're normally in conflict, so I'm going to be kind. I'm going to make the effort. I'm going to do 3 kind things this week, and then you make a contract with that person. But you have to be able to communicate your needs. And so communication is very important at this point in time. And if it is a situation where you can't control, my other suggestion is to seek outside help, get the adults involved, speak to your pastor, speak to persons that you know could assist you to help to deal with what is happening at this particular point in time. Because it is difficult for some persons. You are accustomed to being together probably for a few hours before sleep and in the mornings as you get ready, so you don't tend to get in each other's way. Then if there is not enough equipment in the home as devices, you're jostling for devices to do homework or just to play. So it's important that you even set boundaries there. Who is using what when, what is more important to be used by one, and maybe you might need some parental help with making those decisions.
Yeah, that's really good. We know that, this is a lot of extra time being spent. And if I have to share one tablet or one computer with a couple people, it can start to get a little hairy. So you might go do a little schedule just so everybody feel like everybody has access when they want to or need to as well. Really good. Coming back to you, Devontae, we want to know if you had any tips for those persons at home, anything that has worked for you, that you would share.
Just try to find something that you enjoy that can consume your time and that isn't just a waste of time, but is like has some sort of worth.
Awesome tip. I guess one of the questions coming through is throughout this experience, because the reality is it's important that even in difficult situations that we find that silver lining. Throughout this experience, has there been anything, and I throw this out to everyone in the panel, anything that you have learned, whether about yourself, about other people, that you've learned in general, that you want to share? Let's go back to you, Devontae. Anything that you have learned about yourself or about other things or other people that you want to share?
what I learned about myself is that once I really put my mind to something, I can get it done, no matter what it is.
Awesome. That is a really good one. And I guess you had no choice when it came to certain things. He mentioned earlier that science isn't a strength, but I guess if you have to do it, you have to do it. So it's really good that you can learn your capacity. We talk about resilience being our ability to bounce back and to thrive in difficult situations. And that's kind of what Devonta is talking about. What about you, Alyssa? Anything that you've learned about yourself, about others, or anything in general that you've learned?
Okay, so one thing that I've learned is that I'm a really I prefer physical social interaction like way more than even texting and all that, because like I find myself now and again just being annoyed by the technology. Like, yes, I'm grateful for it, but like I just want to go outside and lie with my friends or so. But also I'm really proud that I've been able to actually study on my own, get work done, finish my syllabi, and really get to connect and grow with myself and learn new things. So I think that's good.
Awesome. And Andrea, do you want to chime in here? Anything that you've been learning along the way?
Well, I thought it would have been more difficult to be on a lockdown. I thought staying in would have been, I would have had more challenges and so forth. I'm accepting and adjusting to it, and probably now will now have to adjust this to going out when that time comes.
Yeah, any change really, even changes that we want could be a big adjustment. So yeah, that's gonna be big. For me, I think I have been stretched a bit. A lot is being demanded of me, and sometimes you kind of start, especially if you get into a routine, you start to just go through the motions. So as much as I might complain a little bit of the things that I have to do, it's good to have new challenges and to see where I'm at and where I've come from. So I think that's something that I've been learning. I also want to, we can't, because this is holistic, this is about your mind, your body, this is also about your spirit. How has your faith been impacted, or where has your faith and your journey with God been throughout this entire process? Let's go to Devonta again.
I've just been trusting in God because I know that He knows what He's doing. That He will never necessarily, if you want to say that it will come out good and that everything happens for a reason.
Awesome. Alyssa, anything to about your journey with God?
Similarly, like Devontae, I've just been really trusting that, all of this God is going to work it out for his good. But I wouldn't say that my faith in God has really been tainted because, yes, we can't physically go to church, but we still have service on a Sunday morning as well as like Bible study, youth ministry. So I've really been connecting with my church family a lot more than normal, which is good. So, yeah.
That's great. Really important to connect with God. Sometimes the only strength, or the only source of strength, I should say, that we can really rely on sometimes in some circumstances when the going gets tough. And even when the going isn't that tough, we know that we can trust in God, and we can rely on his strength, and we can lean on the promises that he has for us, that he will never leave us or forsake us, even when we feel alone or worried. We know that we have a friend that sticks closer than a brother, and that's something that we can't lose. That all the things we losing, we can't lose God. That's one thing we can't lose. We lose a lot of things, but that's not something we can lose, and you can trust that we can rely on that. I think really important. And we're wrapping up now, so I'm just gonna give everyone an opportunity to share any final thoughts. that you may have, any final things that you might want to share as we wrap up. I'm going to start with Alyssa, then I'm going to go to Devontae, and then to Andrea. Alyssa?
Okay, so firstly, I'll say, just trust the process and pray that everything will work out in the end to be good, obviously. Try to do things that don't necessarily make you bored, so try to occupy your time as much as possible, because I feel like if you don't occupy your time, then you'll just find yourself in a kind of funk and just not wanting to do anything. So plan a schedule, work towards it, make a TikTok, connect with your family, that kind of thing. And also stay safe. Practice proper hygiene. Right through. That's it.
Thank you, Alyssa, so much. Devontae, what would you share? Any extra things or additional things you would share with our audience?
I really want to encourage them to stay home and stay safe and follow the certain necessary precautionary measures.
Yeah, really important. I don't think we can reinforce that enough. Like, really do the things we have been told to do. There's a reason we've been told to do these things, to practice our social distancing, to practice our hygiene, to not cough everywhere, to wash our hands, and so on. So let's just continue to do that so that we can stay safe. Absolutely. And Andrea.
And I just want to remind everybody that this is a rough period for everyone. All of us are going through the same thing, and it's a worldwide pandemic. So it's really a time for us to connect with each other. We really have to communicate more with the persons that we have to be at home with for 24 hours continuously. And so it's really important that when we are feeling down, we communicate our feelings, and that we understand that at the same time, we can still do things that are fun, things that can make us happy. And we don't have to stay in that funk all the time. And when we get to that point, we really need to reach out and speak to someone.
All righty, thanks so very much. So we are wrapping up now, and I just want to thank everyone for joining us. My takeaway really is two things. One, you kind of have to be flexible at this time. Everyone is not as flexible as everybody else. For instance, some of us are dealing with bandwidth issues in our territory, and that means that we can't download the things we want to download. Or some of us might be dealing with some other stuff, like, you really wanted a pack of Doritos, but you can't get Doritos because you can't leave the house. Whatever it is, you kind of have to give yourself a break, be a little flexible. But the other thing is, I want to encourage us to laugh and to make fun and to have jokes and to share jokes and to really be able to laugh at ourselves and laugh at things. I think humor is really important. And if you can't laugh in this situation, it's going to be really difficult. We really got to keep our wits about us, and that really helps. So I want to encourage you, go and crack a joke, even if it's a corny joke. Go and crack a corny joke with somebody, even if they look at you and look off, whatever. But just keep that humor, keep that lightness of spirit. That's really important as we go through this. I want to thank our panel, especially Devontae and Alyssa out of Antigua and Trinidad and Tobago, for joining us this afternoon. I want to thank Andrea out of Antigua for joining us. I really encourage us to continue to connect and share this with your friends, share this with your family. Stay tuned. We will be continuing next Tuesday afternoon, same time. We'll be talking to specifically the parents next time. So this really was for the children, although parents could gain from this. And next time we'll be talking to the parents. We will also be revisiting the relationships part 2. We'll let you know when that will be happening. We also have a lot of awesome topics in store, including dealing with the older adults and elderly, dealing with persons who have chronic illness, those of us who have chronic illness and dealing with the pressures of everything that's going on, working from home, that's going to be a biggie because this work from home thing is serious. All of that, we're going to be looking forward to in the next few weeks. Thank you once again for joining us, and I wish you God's richest blessings. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.